Robert in Massachusetts, who listens online to Spotify, where you can find our podcasts. Thank you for a great program. In 1 Corinthians 5:9, Paul mentions a letter that he wrote to the church in Corinth, which seems to make 1 Corinthians a response to questions that the Corinthians had sent in response to Paul's first letter. So the verse says, I wrote you in a letter not to associate with sexually immoral people. So clearly he has written them something else. But they seem to be lost. Are there any known copies or fragments of other churches' responses to Paul's letters or these other letters that Paul's written?
Yeah. The fact that he wrote another letter is also evident, I think, in verse 11, because he says, but now I am writing, meaning I wrote before, but now I'm writing. So this is a different letter. It's possible. I think that Paul did write other letters to the Corinthians. It's possible that's what he's talking about. It could be that he's referring to what he was talking about in the first 8 verses when he says, I wrote to you in a letter before. But I think he's actually talking about another letter.
Okay.
That he wrote something else. And we have no copies of it.
Okay.
We have no fragments of it. We've got no evidence that anyone has it, and if we found it tomorrow, it wouldn't be part of the Bible.
Okay. Even though Paul wrote it, it is not being written by Paul that makes it part of the Bible.
Exactly. A lot of people think that one of the tests of canonicity, about what made it into the canon, is apostolicity, they called it. Did an apostle write it? I think that many things the apostles wrote did make it into the scriptures, but not everything they wrote. Paul would go down to the agora, the ancient market, and he'd have a little papyrus with his notes on what he was buying.
A shopping list.
A shopping list, dozen eggs, whatever it is that he was picking up there. Maybe a new quill for his letter writing. I don't know what he would buy. But if we found that shopping list, that wouldn't go in the Bible. What it was is the books that were deemed inspired were immediately received by the people of God and placed in the canon and recognized as inspiration. The test for canonicity was inspiration. Is this an inspired book? And so he wrote another letter. It was not deemed inspired, so it was not kept, or it wasn't preserved. It wasn't put into the canon. Now, there are other books that were preserved, but they were not put in the canon, and that was because they were not characterized as biblical. They're not inspiration. They're not Bible. They're not inspired. And so it's just one of those, things that we're looking at. The test was, did the church immediately receive it as the Word of God? And when they did, it was placed into the canon. Thank you for watching Open Line. If you have a question about the Bible that you'd like to ask me, please comment below. Make sure to hit subscribe, too, so you don't miss my response.